Welcome to today's scary story session. These stories are not for the faint of heart, so be prepared to be scared out of your wits. If you enjoy being scared and want to hear more stories like these, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a scary story session. Let's get started. As a student at Westfield High School, I had always loved our mascot. The big, cuddly bobcat had been a fixture at our football games and pep rallies for as long as I could remember. But something had changed. It started with small things, like the bobcat suddenly lunging at a student during a pep rally. Then it escalated to more violent incidents, like the bobcat attacking a teacher. The school tried to brush it off as a series of isolated incidents, but the students knew better. We could sense something was wrong with the mascot. I decided to investigate. I joined a group of students who were determined to get to the bottom of the strange occurrences. We snuck into the school at night, hoping to catch a glimpse of what was really going on. As we approached the mascot costume, I felt a cold chill run down my spine. Something was off. And then, suddenly, the mascot came to life. It lunged at us, its eyes filled with a cold, malevolent light. I tried to run, but it was too fast. I felt its claws dig into my flesh as it knocked me to the ground. When I came to, I was in the school nurse's office. I could barely move, the pain was excruciating. But the worst part was the look on the nurse's face. She was terrified, like she had seen a ghost. It wasn't until later that I discovered the truth. The mascot was possessed by the spirit of a former student who had been mistreated by the school. He had died under mysterious circumstances, and his ghost had been trapped in the school ever since. But when the school decided to use his image as their beloved mascot, something snapped. The spirit was enraged by the way he had been mistreated in life, and he sought revenge on the school and its students. The student who wore the mascot costume had no memory of the horrible things they had done. They were merely a vessel for the vengeful spirit. We tried to exorcise the spirit, but it was too powerful. It seemed like nothing could stop it. And then, one day, it was just gone. The mascot stopped attacking students, and the school returned to its normal, peaceful state. The abandoned school had been vacant for years, its classrooms left to rot and decay. But that didn't stop 5 college students from entering the abandoned building one dark, stormy night. As they made their way through the empty halls, the students were excited to explore the abandoned school. They felt invincible, as if they were in their own horror movie. But as they ventured further into the building, the atmosphere grew increasingly eerie. The students began to feel as though they were being watched, and the sound of their footsteps echoed through the halls with an ominous ring. Suddenly, the door behind them slammed shut, trapping them inside. A feeling of dread washed over the group as they realized they were not alone in the school. The students tried to reopen the door, but it was locked from the outside. They were trapped, and the malevolent presence in the building was closing in on them. As they began to explore the abandoned school, the students noticed strange occurrences. Doors creaked open and shut on their own, and the sound of footsteps echoed through the halls, even though nobody was there. It wasn't long before the malevolent force began to bring their inner demons and secrets to life. One student was confronted by the ghost of their abusive ex-partner, while another saw the face of their deceased mother staring back at them from the shadows. The malevolent presence seemed to know their deepest fears and darkest secrets, and it was using them against them. As the night wore on, the students became increasingly panicked. They could feel the malevolent presence closing in on them, and they knew that they had to find a way out. But every door they tried was locked, and the windows were boarded shut. It seemed as though they were doomed to spend the rest of their lives trapped in the abandoned school. As they huddled together in the darkness, the malevolent presence closed in on them. The students could feel its icy breath on the backs of their necks, and they knew that they were running out of time. But just as all hope seemed lost, one of the students remembered a secret passage that led out of the school. They had learned about it in a local history class, and it was their only hope. With their hearts racing, the students followed the winding passageway through the bowels of the abandoned school. They could hear the malevolent presence closing in on them, but they pushed through their fear and kept going. Finally, they burst through a door and into the fresh air. They had made it out of the school, but they knew that they would never be the same again. I was never a straight-A student, but I had always tried my best. So when a new principal arrived at my school, promising to make us all perfect, I was intrigued. But as the weeks went by, I began to realize that the principal's definition of perfection was nothing like mine. He would randomly drug test students and expel them for the slightest infractions. He even banned any extracurricular activities that he deemed frivolous or a waste of time. The students were beginning to feel like prisoners in their own school. One day, I overheard the principal speaking in hushed tones with someone on the phone. He was saying something about needing more power to achieve his goal of a perfect student body. That's when I started to suspect that there was something much darker going on behind the scenes. As I dug deeper, I discovered that the principal had made a deal with a supernatural entity. It promised to grant him the power to create the perfect student body, but at a cost. And that cost was the souls of the students themselves. I tried to warn my fellow classmates, but they were too scared to believe me. They thought I was just overreacting, and that the principal was simply a strict disciplinarian. But I knew that something sinister was going on. As the days went by, the principal's grip on the school grew stronger. He would make the students attend mandatory meetings, where he would brainwash them with his twisted ideology. Anyone who questioned him was punished severely. It wasn't long before the supernatural entity started to show itself. Strange things began to happen in the school, objects moving on their own, strange shadows lurking in the corners, and the sound of whispered voices in the dead of night. The students began to rebel against the principal's oppressive regime, but it seemed like the supernatural entity was helping him at every turn. It was as if it had taken control of the school itself. I tried to confront the principal and expose his sinister agenda, but he just laughed in my face. He told me that I was just like the other students, weak and imperfect. But I refused to give up. Finally, I discovered a way to break the supernatural entity's hold on the school. I organized a group of students to perform a ritual that would banish the entity back to the underworld. It was risky, and we didn't know if it would work. But we were desperate to save ourselves and our school from the principal's tyranny. As we performed the ritual, I could feel the power of the supernatural entity growing stronger. But we kept going, channeling all our fear and desperation into the ritual. And then, suddenly, it was over. The entity was gone, and the school was quiet once again. But the damage had been done. The principal was gone, but he had left a trail of destruction in his wake. Many students had been expelled, and others were traumatized by their experiences.